so pumped to be on this episode with you guys. We've had an incredible string of guests here on the Man Up Already podcast, and it is a rarity that I get to speak to you now directly, right? No guests, just me with you sharing some thoughts. This could be one of the first times in 2023 that we have an episode like this. So it's a privilege and an honor to be with you like this. I entitled the episode "Give Your Spirit Some Much Needed Rest" because I wanted to share some things that I have just learned on this journey. Obviously through life, but in the first quarter of 2023, it has been an interesting journey, and I finally found a way to find some much needed rest. So in the first quarter of this year, our family and our business has experienced more, death, losing family members, losing friends, losing clients. It's been an interesting journey. We've had our fair share of adversity. We've just seen a lot, and it's been an interesting 3 months. And in navigating that, right, things come up. You learn lessons, right? What do they say? In every adversity, there is an equal or equivalent opportunity, right? Like in the midst of hard things, are things that you can use, lessons that you can learn to move forward, to do better, right? Like that's always the case. And I'm going to share one of those that I learned through some very challenging times over the last quarter. So before we do that, though, I do want to again thank you for being here. And we're super pumped, right? Go to manupalready.com. That is now the hub of everything. All the social media channels, everything is on there. And obviously, what you'll find are all the information for, or is all the information for, the Man Up Already Growth Conference that we're super pumped to launch this year. June 10th, Port St. Lucie, Florida, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Go to manupalready.com, get your tickets there. They're $25. And also, all of the speakers are on the website and more coming. There's a couple of others that we're going to have on there as well. It's going to be a ridiculous event. It's open to men 14 and up. I'm going to talk about it on every episode until we get to it. But we want your men there. We want your sons there. We want men 14 and up in the room because impact is going to happen. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to touch upon on this episode, but I'm going to dive way deeper into it at that event, because there's just things that we need to learn as men, right? Our goal is to wake men up. We want men to walk out of that event going, I need to get my act together. The world needs me now. I'm going to keep reiterating that message of how important it is for men to man up already. And that, even that term, man up, is thrown into the category of, oh, that's toxic masculinity, all that stupid crap that they label it. But you know what? Masculinity is important, and tapping into that masculinity, that divine masculinity, is what, and doing it now is what Man Up Already is. Like, so if I grab somebody, I go, will you please man up already? It's like, will you please tap into the things that make you as a man, as a person, as a child of God? Those things are incredibly important. So get to the Man Up Already Growth Conference. Have I sufficiently beat that up? Yeah, I think so. I think I've beaten that enough on this episode to dive into our topic. So our topic is obviously give your spirit some much needed rest. And I want to talk about what I learned I literally felt this sigh in my spirit. It was unbelievable. And what I'm really talking about is getting off social media. Now, you may be listening to that going, what? Are you crazy? How do I do that? Just hear my story, and I'm going to give you some techniques to do that. But I think it's vitally important, especially today. So, I'm one of those people, like, if technology can make the heavy lifting easier, I really do buy in. Though we're seeing that really kind of go places that are not healthy. But let's stay there. I remember getting on Facebook. I remember finding YouTube. I remember, I mean, I'm old school enough, Gen X. I remember when Napster was out and file sharing and all those things, right? Like I enjoyed computers and computer gaming. That really hasn't changed, though. Now I have an Xbox. But I did like and do like a lot of elements of technology. And so when social media came out, I, like so many others, was on there, and I've been on there. I mean, if Facebook has been out since, what is it, 06, 07, I've been on there, and been on there quite a while. So it gets ingrained in our lives, right? But what we don't realize is what it does to our psyche and certainly our spirit. I talked in the last episode with Jeremy Mayhew how a friend of mine had said in the early 2010s that the attack of the enemy will come in ones and zeros, meaning it will come through technology. So social media became this. I was in a business where I had to, find, train, and develop people. I had to always be a meeting with people. And this is before branding on social really took off, so it was always like connecting with people. And then you'd find people from your past and you connect with people. And after a while, what it does to your brain is proven, right? It becomes like an addiction. And you start to constantly be on there scrolling, getting into the lives of people and seeing what's going on. And you become addicted to that. It has become our new media, right? Where the family used to sit around the TV or listen to the radio, in the early days. Certainly, if you think about, entertainment before television, there was the radio, and then there was motion pictures, and then TV became a big deal. Every house had one, then they had multiple ones, and all of that, this evolution. But social media has now become our media. And I was on there. I mean, I was on there all the time, all the time. And then, as the iPhone, right? Well, as a smartphone developed, we would carry it around in our pocket and be on there all the time. And I just didn't think that it was a challenge, right? But my wife would constantly be challenging me on it, up to a point where in 2019 it caused major challenges in our relationship. It really became an issue. So I got off of Facebook and limited Instagram, and I've always been on LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn for years because it's professional business networking. And I think it was 2022 where I started to get back into Facebook and using it for branding and using it for connecting with people. And a couple of weeks ago, it started to become another issue. It's just one of those things where in the great book, Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill talks about the concept of drifting. And social media, what it really does is you drift. You don't realize it, but you just start drifting. What are you drifting from? Well, number one, you're just drifting from being present and being in reality. I'm going to talk way more about this at the Growth Conference, but I just want to give you some nuggets and share a little bit of my story in what I've learned. So very, very long story short, my wife challenged me and really, really took me to the shed, if you will, right? And just said, you need to get off it. And it's not good for you. It's not good for us. And it really was true. And to me, like I was just like, fine, that's not a choice. So, I got off, and I'll share with you some things that you could do. But in 2 days, as a matter of fact, it could be the first day, my soul gave such a sigh of relief because it was free from that drift, free from that tug. Let me give you another great example. We were this past week with some friends at the beach here in Florida, and I was talking to my friend Tom, and he was talking. The waves were really, really strong at the beach, and he said, "Man, that current can really pull you out." And I just thought about getting off of social media and how strong the current is in social media that it pulls you and you drift and you don't even realize that you're being pulled out until you get into the deep end and you go, oh my gosh, how did I get all the way out here? That's what happens with it. And so my spirit was like, wow, that pull is no longer there. It was quiet, it was settled, and it was centered. All of a sudden, I found the reality again of reality. So when you're no longer staring at a screen or you're no longer hearing the noise of social media, when it's off, your spirit gets to rest. And then you start to see what's really going on around you. You are present. The reality of reality is being fully present in your world, right? Like it's just quiet and you can go, wow, I'm enjoying the relationships physically in my space, right? More. Think about it, right? If you have your phone in your hand or your whatever, if you're on social media around people, you're not present. You're not with them. You're really with the people on social media. Even though it's virtual, it's still a fact. You're not present. And all of that stuff went away. And my soul breathed this huge sigh of relief to just be grounded, be centered, to be present. And everything in my world became brighter, sweeter, more amazing, right? And I'm not here to, I don't know what you got going on in your life. You don't know, right, everything going on in my life. I don't, we're not here to discuss that. What I am sharing with you is that when things get simpler, you're able to focus more attention on them. And with social media, whatever form it's in, you're inviting the entire world into your reality. Now think about how noisy that is. And if we're on there for a long period of time, right, it starts to become white noise. It's just constant. We don't even realize it's there, but it is happening and it's creating a current and it's pulling us away from our center. And more importantly, it's pulling us away from our source, God, and our purpose in life. That's called drifting. And then again, I highly recommend you read Outwitting the Devil. That's what he's talking about. So the other thing that happened to me this week is to contribute to this and where we're going is I was on a couple of webinars in this and discussing the rise of AI, which is some scary shit. Excuse my language, right? It's just some scary shit. It really is. When computers are writing our content, when computers are answering or commenting for us, and those computers continually learn. I'm an 80s child, right? That's Skynet, if you know what that is. That's some scary shit. And I don't want to participate in that. I don't want that to become the replacement for me, even though some will say, well, that's, like here's a great example, right? The content that I write for the podcast are me sitting down writing the content. And somebody could say, well, you could put out more content if you would let the computer write it, but I don't want to. Like, I want you authentically. That's a pillar in the Man Up Already mindset, the Man Up Already movement. One of the pillars is authenticity. I want you authentically to get me, not some computer generated version of me. So between social media and AI, guys, think about what's happening to our humanity and think about what's happening to who we are created to be. And this, the whole idea of all of this is you're created for purpose. And we, in Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill, the devil in there says, if I can cause people, man, to drift from their major purpose in life, I own them. And technology is the enemy. Technology is doing that. It's pulling you from your created purpose. And how do you watch, right? Maybe you say, you know what, for a week, I'm off. And you tell me, comment, right? Or leave me a message. Tell me what happens to your spirit and how it sighs with relief at the silence, if you will, right? It's a little awkward at first, but I promise you, right? It's refreshing, very, very refreshing. So how do you do that? Well, here's some ways to do so. First, one of the things we did is I got a social media manager. So the social, and I've had people pitch me that all the time. Our daughter is 24. She's a virtual assistant and she's awesome at social media. She has become my social media manager. So I turned over right at the really pretty much the directness of my wife, who's right my partner in all things, and she said, I want you to be the best man that you could be. So listen to your partners, listen to your wives, listen to your husbands, listen to your spouse. They know you best. She said, this is keeping you from being the best that you could be. And so I turned it over. I have Facebook, Instagram. I don't even have the passwords, right? They have it. And so what I do is, though I still create content, I use an app called Trello that our daughter shared with us. And so I create the content and I'm able to put it into Trello and say, here, post this. And so all the things are still getting posted. You could still find me, John Puritz, on Facebook and Instagram. It's just run by a manager. The content's still me. It's just I'm not the one on there constantly putting it up because I don't need to. That's what a manager does. So get your kids to do it. Or if you don't want your kids on there because of everything that I talked about, then hire somebody, right? But it's money well spent because you capture back time. And I heard a long time ago, right? Outsource your weaknesses, right? So you could play to your strengths. What would your time be worth if you had somebody else posting for you? Now, if you're on social media because you want to know what everybody else is doing, that's a challenge. You don't need a manager for that. You need to get off that shit because it's hurting you. It's right. It can't be if we're living our lives on social media and not in the real world, that's really a challenge. Okay. So outsource all, right? But then the one I use is LinkedIn. It's professional, it's for business. I use it for networking, right? It's where I build community. There's less nonsense on there than other apps, right? It's a professional business network, right? You're around more like-minded people, and that's what I like. So if you're a success-minded person, that's the platform out of all of them, I think, to be on, right? It's not perfect, it's still social media, but it's certainly a lot better than the others. So find one, right, and then get off the rest. Because like I remember before I got off all of it, everybody was like TikTok, TikTok, get on TikTok, and I know TikTok certainly has its issues, right? Or Twitter, and I was on both, and it's just they're all an issue, guys. There's a lot of go look. All you got to do is go look at. There's a great New York Post article on one of the 30-something-year-old columnists. Said they created a 14-year-old boy persona on TikTok, and what was sent to them for them to view was quite alarming, right? So it's all getting you to drift. So I think you should be on something more professional. That's a personal opinion, but get off. If you're on a bunch, get on one. If you're going to do anything, right, at least do that, right? So limit your time, and then if you're on one, schedule out when you're on it, and then be off it. A great example is I'm pretty much on LinkedIn during business hours, but at night, really in our home, no, we're semi-empty nesters. So, but my wife and I certainly do this. Like when I'm cooking dinner and then we're eating dinner and then we're hanging out, right? The phone goes away. I put it on do not disturb and I leave the ringer on because I know my favorites, the most important people that if there's an emergency, those are going to ring through, but everything else is off. I'm not on social. I don't have the phone right next to me. Like these are things that I've done to be more present. But I can just tell you in the last 3 weeks, there has been a major, major change in my spirit because of getting off of these things that are pulling us away from the reality of reality. So that's my message for you guys in this episode. I hope you look, if we want things to be different, then we've got to do different things, right? So maybe experiment, take a week, right? Take the challenge, take a week, get off. Let me know how you feel. Let yourself know, journal through it, right? But see what getting off really looks like for you, and then find ways to incorporate that into your everyday life moving forward. So I hope that helps. We're going to share a little bit from our sponsor, Master Beef Jerky, at the end here of the podcast. But I just appreciate you guys. Look, the things I learned are the things I want to pass on We're going to talk more about this at the Growth Conference. So get your men there, get out on Amazon, grab the book, Man Up Already. Let's make let's take a stand, right? Stand in those 4 pillars: integrity, humility, authenticity, and morality. Stand on firm things, because in this world right now, we need you. We need you to stand on those 4 pillars, and we need you to draw a line in the sand and say, my family and I are important. We will not drift. We will not be taken out. We will not be ruled over. We will take a stand for what's right and what's true, and we're going to kick some butt. So appreciate you guys. Have a great one. You know, it's always such an honor to have such incredible guests here on the podcast. And the podcast just wouldn't be what it is without our great sponsor, Master Beef Jerky. Head on over to masterbeefjerky.com. Check out their product. It is really incredible beef jerky if you're a fan like we are. It's made here in the USA. It's handcrafted. There's no MSG. It's low in fat. It's gluten-free. It's just freaking good. Their motto is bold flavor, tender bite, and they've got flavors like their original. They've got smoked barbecue, Korean barbecue, Western teriyaki, sweet and spicy, mango and pineapple, carne asada, garlic pepper, a Carolina Reaper flavor, and black pepper. It is good stuff. Head on over to masterbeefjerky.com, and on your order, if you put in coupon code MUAP, you will get 20% off. Master Beef Jerky, bold flavor, tender bite, and a great sponsor of the podcast.